Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Susanna Crawford, Marketing Manager here at GiveSmart by Community Brands, and we are thrilled to have each of you with us today. It is episode 10 in our Fundraising Success Blueprint series, where our hope is to go in depth on 12 areas of fundraising, not only to address each topic, but also to provide a complete blueprint throughout the series. We're big believers here that people do not only want to hear from us, they want to hear from their peers in the development space. And today I am thrilled to be joined by some amazing individuals who have graciously given up their time to join us and spread their knowledge. So to get started today, panelists, could you please introduce yourselves, tell us where you are located, and a little bit about the organization that you're with?
So I believe I'm up first. My name is Amy Wolf, and I am with Opportunity Enterprises. We are a nonprofit organization located in Northwest Indiana, and we provide programs and services for adults with disabilities. So everything from curriculum-based day programming to residential sites to community employment, community integration, it's called pre-eds. So transitional programs for students with disabilities to figure out what their next steps are after high school. So that's a little bit. I've been here about almost 5 years, and I am our event specialist. So I plan all of our fundraising events.
Thanks, Amy.
Hey there, I am Bridget D'Angelo, and I am currently serving as the Vice President-elect of Fundraising for the Junior League of Denver. And we are a women's volunteerism and training organization that basically trains women to be civic leaders and kind of go out and make a difference in their community. So our focus for the last few years has been on improving literacy rates in the Denver metro area, but we're kind of shifting our focus based on the needs of our community to address families in poverty. What we do is we send out grants to other nonprofits and send out volunteers to help other nonprofits to help further our mission.
That's awesome.
I am Serena D'Angelo, no relation, just a fun coincidence. But I'm the Senior Customer Success Manager here at GiveSmart. I'm located in Los Angeles, California, and I help my clients on best practices, strategies, and really just making sure they get the most out of their GiveSmart subscription.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys. We have a true A-team today. In today's call, we will be covering some questions submitted in advance, but also please feel free to use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And then in the chat as well, check out resources. We will be sharing things as we talk about them to give you extra supplemental resources on the side. And we always get asked if this call is being recorded. Yes, it is. You will receive the recording in an email after with all the resources that we put in the chat as well. And we'll have the slides on here too if you want to come back and check them out. So we'll jump in today, and with that, again on Zoom, make sure that you're looking at us in gallery mode so you can see all of our panelists. And again, the Q&A section and the chat are going to be key to have the best experience for this webinar. So what's our agenda? We are going to be covering the basics first. Those questions that everyone is asking when they try to do a live stream, we'll start there. And then we'll go in depth more on our panelists' live streams that they've done, ask them how they created their program, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty there. And then at the end as well, we will of course go to your questions, your listeners. So again, please keep sending those in. We will do our best to answer them live or at the Q&A section at the end. All right, so we're going to start out with a little poll. We do this poll every week on our Blueprint episode, so it's been really fun to watch the tracking. Please go ahead and start your voting in here. And while we're listening to this, it takes just about 30 seconds. Serena, would you mind expanding a little bit more on kind of what your day-to-day is when it comes to live streams and clients? How do you kind of help there? And then also from this poll, what are you expecting to see here?
Sure. So my day-to-day when it comes to live streams, GiveSmart has the ability to host your live stream. So we have a presentation page where you can take your embedded live stream, whether it's on YouTube or Vimeo or another streaming service hosted onto GiveSmart, and it gives organizations and groups a one-stop shop where they can learn about the event, watch the event, and even make a donation or bid in the auction, all from the same like landing page. So I just kind of help my groups understand that and understand how it works, guide them through the setup of that. And I would say, for what does 2021 look like, I'm expecting to see a lot of hybrid campaigns, probably still some virtual, but I'm going to expect to see some in-person events too. So I think it's really going to be across the board. This is an interesting year, I think, for everybody, where we are seeing everything as everyone is coming to terms with things in their own way and determining what's best for them.
Yeah, you're spot on. So I will show you these results right here so everyone can see them. Yep, pretty much what we expected here. Some virtual and some live campaigns coming in at 80% of the vote. So if you're considering what you should be doing, here's a good check of kind of, what is this, almost 45 people weighed in today to kind of give that. So there you go there. I'm going to stop sharing those results and stop sharing my screen. And we're back. Okay, so we're going to start with some of these basic questions that I think, most people have, whether you're just getting started with your first live stream or you've done this before. Let's kind of pulse check and see where our panelists are at with these. So I have 5 questions, and we're going to kind of move through these in kind of a rapid fire way to get as most information possible. So panelists, are you ready?
Ready.
All right. Okay, so question number 1. How many live stream programs have you been involved with, and what were those events?
So the Junior League of Denver last year, we did 2 live streams. One was kind of a smaller scale, and I think it was only about 10 or 15 minutes of a live stream. And then our main kind of gala we turned into a live stream was about 50 minutes long.
Awesome.
So we've had, at OE, we've had 3 major virtual events. 2 of them were the same event. We just 2020 and 2021 went virtual. And then we're also doing a ongoing campaign with essentially like a virtual cocktail party.
Fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Have you seen any other types of live streamed events, Serena? Curious from you.
I think like both of what they said. So the galas are being live streamed, and then we're also seeing those kind of in between campaigns like bingo nights and trivia nights and that kind of thing. That's really easy to live stream those. So yeah, big or small, it can all be live streamed for sure.
Perfect. Question number 2. How long were the programs that you ran? So like time wise, and that counts, like, was there beginning sections that you put stuff running in the beginning? And were they pre-recorded, or was it all live streamed or mixed? And how did you make that decision on how to do that?
So I think I already answered half of this question in the first one, sorry, but yeah, our main one was about 50 minutes, and that was at the advice of our auctioneer company that we relied heavily on. And again, guided by their advice, it was a mix of in-person, kind of live in studio, and pre-recorded.
Awesome.
So for all of our virtual events, we try to cap them in an hour, absolutely no more than an hour. We've seen, recordings of galas that are 3 and 4 hours long, and just in the COVID world and the virtual meeting, everyone's getting a little bit burnt out. So we just try to keep it short and concise.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. 50 minutes is about average from what I'm seeing. If you've got a lot of content that's really engaging, feel free to go a little longer, but I think overall, generally 50 minutes, people tend to lose their attention after that.
Yeah. Good call. And third question, rapid fire through this. What streaming service did you use and why? And then also, how did you ensure that your audience could find it? So what type of promotion did you do to send out that link or whatever that looked like?
So I can jump in on this one. So we use YouTube Live to kind of push out our events for like our major fundraising events, so for our gala and our celebration of achievement. And then we obviously embed them into our GiveSmart presentation page. It was really, really important to us that when we do a virtual event, that the video, as well as like the donate buttons and all of that, is on one screen. So the presentation page was the answer to all of our prayers. which was really great. And then we also use Zoom for those virtual cocktail parties that I was mentioning there.
Awesome.
Yeah, we did basically the same thing. I actually don't know if I think it was Vimeo that we used, but our AV kind of production company handled that, and they just kind of worked with GiveSmart and then embedded it kind of for the exact same reasons. We wanted people watching on their laptops so they could bid on their silent auction items, they could donate when we went to our paddle raise. And yeah, it worked really well.
Awesome. All right, let's keep going here. So did you guys do like a practice round or anything when it comes to that? I know, in-person events, there's always that run through the day before or hours before. What does that look like when it comes to a live stream presentation for you?
And we actually did both. Sorry,
Okay.
we did kind of on Zoom the day before where we talked through the live pieces, and then we said, okay, we're going to play this video. So we kind of kept it short and sweet. It was about 30 minutes long, 20 minutes long. And the day of a few hours before, we ran through, made sure that when we hit play on the video, or the AV guys did, that the video that was supposed to play played, and everything synced. And that was super helpful to kind of calm the nerves when we went live.
Yeah.
So we took a very similar approach. We did a full run through, or a dress rehearsal, as I like to call them, about a week to 3 to 4 days before each event. And so that was purely practice. We ended up, they usually go a little bit longer, like maybe 2 to 3 hours, and we're working out every kink and coming up with new ideas, tweaking things. And then very similarly, the day of, we arrive early and do a practice run through, and then usually sit down, have a little dinner, and then knock out our virtual event. So
it's exciting.
I would, just to piggyback on that, I think that it is essential to do some kind of practice when you're doing a virtual event, not only so you get your script right, your cues, you know what you're saying, but also on the GiveSmart side, you don't want to have any surprises. You want to make sure that you know what it looks like for users when they log in, or if they don't log in, and how to click sign in the corner. You want to just go through those steps so you can then explain to people if they have questions.
And just to piggyback on that, one of the things that we started doing is, so we took a couple members of our team, and instead of having them on site for those dress rehearsals, we would have them at home, and we would actually push the link out to them on a private link, and then they would text back or call us and say, the audio is not loud enough, or this is scrambling, or there's a really bad buffer, or that just looks terrible. So that was super helpful.
Very, very smart. Yes, absolutely. Good advice, guys. These are good things coming out of here. Okay, so we're going to go to our fifth and final question for this. What were some of the top priorities when building your program? So I know that, you each have 2 totally different events, or 3, Amy, but what is the top priority when you're thinking about a certain type of event and building that program from the beginning?
So for us, when we went virtual, so our gala was actually postponed. The 2020 gala, the shelter in place order in the state of Indiana came out 48 hours before gala was set to happen. So we ended up postponing and going virtual 7 months later. So it took us quite a bit of time to kind of re-engage. So for us, the most important thing, all the tickets were paid for, the sponsors, everything was, essentially in. So it was really important that for us that the experience felt as equally valuable to everyone that was watching. So we wanted to have all the same events, a live auction, a silent auction, a raffle, all the same speakers and story videos. So it was really, for us, most important, making an engaging and interactive program.
Awesome.
Funny, you must have similar PTSD as we do, because ours was scheduled for March 13th, 2020, and we made a decision just to cancel the day before. Things were just kind of shutting down, and I think we would have been canceled. Anything over 500 was on the 13th there. And so what we kind of thought is, because we were able to change our ticket prices, we want to make sure that it was engaging, but then also, again, kind of like what Amy said, is valuable. And so really starting from that programming and making sure that we were thinking about what the experience is at home. How can we make people feel like it was worth their time, and we're worth their time and their money? So that was really kind of at the heart of it, and kind of working with our different partners.
Yeah. It's great to go back to. And Serena, yeah, to you overall, what are you kind of hearing as people come up on this, and what are you hearing as priorities?
So kind of like what Amy was saying, she wanted to have all of those same elements as what would happen in person. And I think that's true for a lot of organizations. They really want to just replicate the feel of if you are at a live event. So making sure you're doing that, but you're doing that in a way that makes sense for virtual, I think is very important. Like we may talk about this later, but the live auction, it's harder to do a live auction when you don't have people raising their paddles and people on iPads coming over to confirm. So shifting that to like a super silent where you're promoting the items heavily, you still have someone talking about those items, but then they're still bidding on their phones. Little things like that where you do have to shift your expectations over what it's going to be, but still trying to capture that essence. So you can still have the music, the slideshows, everything that you love about a live auction that makes people interested in it, but just making it in a way that's easy for users to bid. And things like maybe even keeping the live auction open for like another day or something. It's allowing people to have more time, especially if you're not getting as big of attendance virtually as you would in person. So just expanding it to more people over more time. These are all things that you can do to adjust your expectations and still have a really successful event.
That's fantastic, Serena. I also love your comment on like keeping the engagement up and keeping the energy, I guess is the word up that I'm looking for. It's using music, using different tactics to really make it exciting. When people are sitting at a live auction, that's an exciting moment in person. So how do you transfer that energy, right? It might look different, but that's kind of the main heart of it, right? And so we got our first question. Did you guys have latency or lagging problems when playing the videos? Was there any difference of you doing it live stream compared to what was being shown on the camera or on the screen?
We did. So you'll notice I believe our site is going to get sent out. So if you watch the recording of our gala, you'll hear the auctioneer at one point when the live auction is closing say, there's going to be a 3 to 4 second lag time. And we determined that as long as the lag time was consistent for all of our bidders, that it was, it was closing for everyone at the same time. But that was something we did experience. And so we just called it out for what it is on the stream. And there's absolutely nothing anyone can do about it. It takes time for information to travel across the digital world. So we just acknowledge it and embrace it and move on.
And people understand that because they understand we're not at a live event. The things are going to be a little different. So it's not like it's a crazy thing to ask or expect, to manage those things.
Awesome. Great answers, guys. Okay, that's a perfect segue right into starting to get into some of the nitty-gritty of these events. So Amy, we're going to start with yours. I hope everyone can see this celebration of achievement event up on the screen. And this is your event that you did in March 31st this year, right? So could you walk us through a little bit about the screen grabs that we have here, what we're seeing, what the event was, and really some of those big takeaways from this event?
Yeah. So Celebration of Achievement is OE's annual awards banquet, if you will. So we recognize the individuals we serve, the individuals with disabilities we serve. We call them our clients. So clients, staff, and supporters are all recognized. So the 2021 Celebration of Achievement was actually the second time we took this event virtual. The 2020 event was virtual in July of 2020. So we learned a lot from the first year to the second year. And so going back to those screen grabs, in the top there, that photo with the two individuals on the couch, that's a grab from one of our pre-recorded videos that played. So we give out 13 awards at this event. That's a lot. So we worked with a production company to make pre-recorded videos. And this kind of replaced that traditional acceptance speech, if you will. So if you think of an awards banquet, you've got your CEO up front, your award nominee is called to the front, you read their nomination, they make an acceptance speech. And so we literally just, for the first year, the 2020 event, recorded those on cell phones and put them together and kind of put them together with a stream. It felt very much like the most basic Zoom call you could ever imagine. But people loved it. And they were like, I still got the experience and it still feels so inspirational. And I still felt so moved. But it was very repetitive. So as a year later, we're getting ready to do the second version. We were like, we need to make this more engaging. So we decided to go with pre-recorded videos that were more like client features or winner feature videos, mini story videos, if you will. And people love them and they're great. We can reuse them. There's an entire Facebook campaign that's tied to them. So that's kind of the video at top. We decided with video, we always put the subtitles, the closed captioning on it. It makes sense with our organization and our mission, but also thinks it just takes that little extra nice touch for the viewer. If they miss something or, you know, there is a funky lag or, you know, their internet connection comes out for a minute, adds that nice touch. So if you go directly below that, the screen grab with the woman with the monitor. So that was a grab from our live stream. Stephanie was our MC. And that is just a giant TV monitor on a stand where we pulled up a GiveSmart display. So I have an amazing design team here. And so they helped me make that beautiful display there, adding in some graphics. We just uploaded that and used a GiveSmart display. And then she was able to call out donors as the donations were coming in. So, you know, thank you, Susanna. Thank you, Serena. Thank you, Bridget, for your donation. And we had implemented that the year before and everyone loved it so much. We will do it at every event from here on out now. People love to see their name up on the screen. And then you'll see the donate button overlay, which I thought was a great addition from GiveSmart. So not only is to the other side, you can see everything on one side on the presentation page, but to really hit that donate button and make it just as easy as possible for our donors. Throughout this event, we did what we call mini asks. So instead of it being like, here's all these stories, and at the end of the event, we're going to ask everyone to pledge their donation. Throughout the program, every second or third video, there was an ask scripted into the program, as well as a coordinating text message that went out that could say like, go to the page to donate, text to donate, with all of their options. Let's just take a glance here at my notes really quick. I think this about covers everything that we needed to cover on this one.
Amy, how you talked about the donation display and how you incorporated GiveSmart's display. And I'm thinking just, you know, with hybrid events, that's something that you can do that for both those watching at home, or if they're at the event, the process is the same, that everyone who's registered is going to get a text message with a link to donate. Everyone will see their name on the screen. So you don't have to have like one thing for ones and something for the other. Everyone will just be using the same system. And I love your design. I think that it's beautiful. So really good job with that.
Thank you. Thank you. I will give all the credit to my design team. They're amazing.
It really is top notch. I love it. And yes, the donate button overlay that you see here is a new feature. So we're really excited that you guys were able to use it and that it worked well for you. So we will go on to your gala, right?
Great.
Yeah, so exciting, amazing together, apart. I love how you played that. So tell me a little bit about what we're seeing here. This was fantastic. I loved watching this.
Thank you. Thank you. So we had themed our gala Amazing Together. Thought it worked perfect, 500 people in the room. And then COVID hit and we were like, well, how ironic is this? We have an event themed Amazing Together and nobody's coming together. So we tacked on the apart to just, you know, acknowledge what was happening in the world. And so the entire script was drafted around that, and that messaging was very, very prevalent. You'll see in the bottom, that's Mark and Neil, our CEO and our board chair. They hosted the event, and you know, they made funny jokes and all kinds of things. And it just really made it a much lighter hearted event. So that, you know, messaging to the event there. So we always pick some sort of mission-based theme. And then we always want to feature our clients. So that is Megan that you'll see on screen there. And what she's doing is signing Amazing Together. So that was part of her kind of speech or feature, if you will, in the program. So we have, again, going back to, we want all of those same features from the live event to appear in the virtual stream. So Megan would have gotten up on stage and spoken, but when we pivoted, we went ahead and pre-recorded her speech and her sign language demonstration, and then worked that into the program. So as you'll see on the top there, that is Jonathan Kraft, our auctioneer, and one of the displays. So this is where we really wanted to keep that quote unquote live auction feel. So yes, people weren't in the same room to raise their bidder paddles. So what we did is, after a lot of time researching on the GiveSmart platform, decided to go with, technically they were listed as like a silent item in that template so that people could place their own bids. But we just had them on view only leading up to the event. So the items were listed on our website. There was an insert on the invitation promoting what the live auction items are. We did like mailed watch packages or curbside pickup meals with this event, since it was a pivot. And then in the printed program, it had the updated live auction items and how to bid, what time it would open, what time they would close. So we very much like prefaced it to our attendees as a live auction. So then we had the display, and I believe it was Serena, you were kind of mentioning where the auctioneer, calls out and says, okay, this is where this bid at and this person's bid at. And so if you watch the stream, we alternate again between those kind of mini asks, the live auction items for a big chunk of the program, and it pops up multiple times to give people that time to bid. So
Awesome.
yeah, definitely practice on this one. This one took a lot of practice to pull off.
Yeah, and something that you did, kind of talking about the engagement section of, how to keep people engaged. Am I right that you had bidding while during this event they were entered into the raffle? Is that
so we in our live event, our auctioneer gave us this idea, so I will share it because I think it's amazing. We would play a game called Last Man Standing. And so at the $100 level of our paddle raise during a regular live event, the last person to get their bid in would win a prize. And so they were Chicago Cubs tickets this year was the plan. Well, when we had to pivot, we were like, well, how do we still incorporate that competitive game feel and really incentivize participation? So not so much that you have to give to help support the organization, but just by participating in the auction and raising up those bids, you're supporting the mission. And so we said for every bid placed, that is one entry into a raffle for those Chicago Cubs tickets. And then at the end of the night, we did the drawing, and then we texted out the winner's name. So I thought that was super fun.
Love it. Serena, I'm curious too, have you heard of any other ideas on how to keep people engaged during a live stream?
I love the raffle idea. It's definitely something I'm going to be sharing with others to take that on. And so is that for the live auction or just in general
Just in general, yeah. I mean, I know, I'll start with, I know that we just added a chat feature as well onto GiveSmart. So now when you're doing it on the live stream, you can actually have a chat box where everyone can come in, write to each other and engage. But I'm curious if you've seen any other ideas during a live stream to keep people's attention or anything unique like that.
Yeah, there was one event that I was helping with that they actually had dueling pianos. So they had a pre-show before the event for 20 to 30 minutes, and they had a chat. And so they were asking people to chat in their songs, song requests. So that's just a fun, just really fun, really casual, but a nice way to get people excited about the event. So that was really cool. Yeah. And other things I've seen, we did a poll today, even doing things like that, that's really interactive and makes people feel like they're part of it. And even a photo booth. So you can send a link to get people to take their picture, and then you can put their picture up on the screen during the event. And that makes everyone feel like they're all together live, even if they're in different places around the world.
Cute. Such good ideas. The biggest one that comes to my head too, it was a Humane Society, I believed, and they would put up emojis randomly throughout their live stream, and people would write in or mark it down, and whoever got the most emojis, a scavenger hunt at the end, they were entered into a raffle or did something like that. So just a thought on, definitely love that idea, Amy, that you did with this, and trying to think of something to keep people engaged during your event is going to be huge. And again, just a reminder before we move into Bridget's section here, that keep your questions coming and look in the chat. We are sharing the examples of these live streams in there, so you can check it out and watch it on your own time if you would like. So thank you so much, Amy, for sharing all that. And Bridget, we will move in to your section here. So this is libations for literacy, right? And
Yes.
talk to me about this kind of hybrid, a little bit event or in person, but you had the live stream component. Can you kind of break it down for us?
Yeah, so typically what this event is a kickoff for our holiday mart where we're bringing merchants and people can walk around and go shopping in mid-November. And so we were able to do this hybrid in October, actually had some credit from canceling our our March event, but it was capped at 100 people. And in October of 2020, not everyone was comfortable going. And so what we did is typically there's a small silent auction, and it's more just a cocktail party, kind of casual, and someone will, kind of stand up for 10 or minutes or so. And so what we decided here is just we're going to live stream that 10-minute speech. We took our impact video that we didn't get to play at our March event, and we embedded that into GiveSmart, where we always, no matter what event we're doing and what silent auction, we send that link to all of our members. And so now all of our members were able to have access to that, even if it's an event they wouldn't have attended. Some of our sustainers are, in their 70s and 80s, are not going to too many cocktail parties, but they were able to, view that if they wanted to.
Yeah, I love this. We've kind of talked before, but I think it's so smart. Like before, when you're in person only, you're really limited to that one night. That's it. If you're not there, you're out. Whereas taking that video or whatever that is and being able to put it in GiveSmart, even if it's not live stream in the moment, but after the fact, right? You can continue that impact and continue and use that event more than once, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anything else you kind of want to add on here about how this went or anything else?
I think it went pretty well. So we're mostly a volunteer organization. So that means that we're kind of in our, certain roles. So I was the chair of the Journey, which is our larger event. So I wasn't involved in this too much, but I didn't hear anyone complaining about it. So I'm assuming it went pretty well. It was just kind of a cut and dry, straight on live stream video and then one pre-recorded video. So it wasn't too technical.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, this kind of, easier wins every time.
Yep.
Okay, so you had a lot to do with the Journey, and you put this all event. So can you, again, just kind of walk through the screenshots that we got going on here and kind of the priorities and what it took to put this on?
Absolutely. Yeah. So from our event that we had to cancel in 2020, Carly Lloyd from the US soccer team was going to be our speaker. And so we kind of rolled that in. So we had a bit of our program already figured out, which was nice. We were always going to do a keynote conversation is what we call it. That's kind of what she prefers to do. And our MC that we've been working with for 7 years, Reggie Rivers and the Gala team, is really great. He used to be a Denver Broncos player. And so they had just a really good chemistry, just going back and forth in that conversation, which really played into the virtual world really well, because what we really wanted to do was steer away from having our viewers listen to any one person talk for more than like 3 minutes. That was kind of our cutoff, is we can't keep people's attention that long. A minute and a half for one person speaking was kind of what our goal was. So it played super well, and we decided to pre-record that. We went back and forth, kind of wanted that live feel with Carly, but at the end of the day, the kind of the fear of that lag and her zooming in was a driver. And then also we were able to, we asked some really cool questions, and she went further with them than we thought. So when her part went longer, we just shortened other parts that weren't going to be as impactful. So we were still able to control that, keep it under an hour, keep it around 50 minutes, which was really great.
Awesome. Keep going. Yeah.
Just gonna say, and we kind of took from that, kind of changed our program around. And so it's funny, the name of this programming is that was what drove all of our decisions. Is we can't do what we typically do, because what we do is we have a cocktail hour and silent auction, and then you come in and Reggie speaks for a moment and you start eating, and then our president speaks for 10 minutes, and then you're still eating, and then you're watching an impact video, and then we go into the paddle raise and live auction, and we would have kind of the speaker in there. And we decided we need to switch it around so that we really kept people engaged. And so we moved our speech to the end, after our fundraising efforts, as opposed to it's usually in the middle, and then we do the impact video and the asks. And we thought, we could keep people going with that. We encouraged them to eat kind of during our pre-show so that they weren't kind of dealing with their food, eating their fried chicken while, we were trying to ask for donations. And instead of having one impact video and one long speech from our president, we broke it up into 3 kind of combo videos. She was speaking to the impact that we were doing. So we were able to go from Reggie and our president-elect were in studio, kind of bouncing off each other. And then it would bounce to a video. And they'd come back and they'd introduce, all of our sponsors and thank them, go to a video. And then we bounce back and we do our super silent items. And then, back to one last video and then our paddle raise, which we think worked pretty well in terms of that flow. And that all came from our auctioneer company kind of guiding us through that from other events that they had done.
That's awesome. You did a really good job with your paddle raise of the traditional, like starting at 10,000, who's in, going down to 5,000 and having that moment of what does that directly do for this organization. So I'm curious, like we see the display here that you guys used. Can you kind of talk about the strategy a little bit of how you really got that energy? Because maybe it was just Reggie, but it really was energetic throughout your event. Tell me a little bit about more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we tried to do a little bit of pre-event fundraising, and it's something we hadn't done before. And so we were a little nervous about it. I know a lot of organizations do this. And so we're like, all right, this is the year to try it. And it wasn't super, super successful, but we were able to get like our $10,000 plant. We were able to get people in there and say, listen, you're not going to want to be, messing around with the donate button. You're going to want to be enjoying it. And also your name will be guaranteed to be read off in that level. And so what we did is we had a spreadsheet, a Google Doc, and anyone that pre-donated, we preloaded their names into there. And then if you see Reggie, one of his teleprompters was that Google Doc. And so me and my co-chair were sitting there the night of, we had Give Smart up. Every time we saw a donation, it would pop into the Google Drive. So we're like, I would point to it and my co-chair would type it in. And so he was able to, in live time, see those names. And then we didn't have that screen up the whole time, again, because we had a little bit of pre-paddle raise. We didn't want to start it at like $12,000. Sorry, dog's mad. But once we got to a certain amount, then we put that number up there, and then we had scrolling names so that if your name didn't necessarily get up there, we couldn't thank every single $100 donor. They still had that recognition and kind of that energy to, oh, well, I want to be involved. I want to see my name. The way, again, when you raise your paddle, you want to be recognized as well as give to a charity. So we think that worked super, super well. We had people giving like extra donations to get their name read again. So it was really energetic.
Yeah, I loved it. And something you guys did too is you really had the community aspect involved in that. So when he said the name, I don't know if you wrote notes about the human or whoever it was, I guess, for those pre-donations, but it was like he would call it out and be like, oh, and they're on the committee and this is how they're involved. And it was just I felt like I got to know your community through that. And so I just wanted to say, if you haven't seen it, it's definitely something to watch. So you guys did a spectacular job on that. So side note there.
Appreciate that. That's Reggie. But again, I think the number one thing was getting that team together because our AV producer, Roland's Productions, they were the same. I mean, they had done it before and we had gotten the recommendation to use them through the gala team and then also through Fireside Productions does like our impact videos. And they were like, oh yeah, we really like Roland's too. And it's like, all right, having people in our corner that have done it before was super, super helpful because, for a while we were spinning our wheels, like didn't know what we were doing until we had those conversations with our partners and it really came together really well.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue. I'll stop my share here and kind of dive back into the 4 of us and to get more into the nitty gritty here. And I'm going to start with Serena, just kind of initial reactions to what was said. Did anything call out to you or stand out?
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I noticed on both of your live streams is you had that donate button and you both incorporated the different donation moments. So that donate button is a newer feature that we have at GiveSmart, and it's really great because it doesn't have to be there the whole time. So as you guys saw, they have the scrolling different words at the bottom. So you can leave it off, and then the moment where it's time to give, you can turn it on, and then it'll be on for everybody at the same time. So that's just a way to, if something is showing on the screen, like flashing on the screen, people are going to notice it more rather than if it was just there the whole time. So, I mean, having that donate button, I think, is really, really important, really good. And then, Bridget, you said you were like breaking up your video into shorter, or the speeches into shorter videos. So yeah, I think that's really smart as well. Like you said, people don't want to, they're going to lose their steam after a little while. So breaking that up and keeping it fresh is really good. I also love Reggie. I worked with him before in the past, and it just kind of speaks to like really investing in your people. If you're having an in-person event, you have those kind of overhead costs that you have to pay to make the event successful. So don't think that just because it's a virtual event, you don't have to do those things. I think you still want to have a good auctioneer. You still want to have the people who can really, like the production team that will really make it a whole show and make it look professional. And I think that goes a long, long way.
Yeah, I'm hearing from all three of you kind of how important that was, right? Those key players. So let's talk a little bit more about the production value from pre-recorded. Like, my question is like, how long in advance do you have to pre-record this stuff, right? Number one. And then number two, who are the key players that you worked with, and how did you make sure that they all connected and that everything went smoothly, if that's possible?
I can jump in. So for our celebration of achievement event, like I said, from 2020, it was completely done in-house with a cell phone camera. One of our design team members edited all of our videos, and she did a phenomenal job. And we started probably about 8 to 12 weeks out from the time we actually needed them. But then again, we were making 13 videos. So that was a lot. When to year 2, when we partnered with the production company, which is the 2021 event, you guys can see, we were about maybe 4 to 6 weeks out. It was a little bit faster. They're, we're into their bigger schedule, but they're not balancing, all of the other needs of the agency. Probably have their other projects. But they were able to fine tune that process a little bit better. So for us, it was really about coordinating who the talent in the video is, or your award winners or anything like that. And then the production company. And then it was also a very big joint effort on like event night. So my team was there as well as our production team, and we all had different roles to really bring it all together.
I think it depends on the content as well. So we kind of started like for our impact videos, we started again figuring out who was going to be in them, kind of what the content would be about 3 months out. But we didn't do the actual taping of them until just a few weeks before. Our president had her little baby on the day she was supposed to do them. So they got pushed a little bit. It's a little more stressful. But for like our conversation with Carly, we wanted it to be relevant. We wanted to talk about things that were happening today, because especially this past year or two, things change real quickly. So we did that about a week out, just to make sure everything was good on that. And that still made me a little nervous. I wanted it to be a couple days, but schedules with everything. But yeah, I think our impact videos, we got to our production company, that content probably 6 weeks out.
Awesome. Helpful timelines. Does that match what you're hearing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can add on that one thing you may not have thought of is like having someone either from your organization dedicated to pushing the buttons on GiveSmart. So because I know you guys you're doing so much and there's a lot of moving pieces. So either dedicating a staff or a volunteer to be that GiveSmart liaison, to close the silent auction, charge the credit cards, send the different text messages. And if you don't have that person, GiveSmart does. So you can hire a GiveSmart campaign technician, and it's a GiveSmart expert who will work with you leading up to the event, and then do all of those things according to the timeline and the schedule. So I think that's something you don't always think about, is who's going to actually handle the GiveSmart platform, but it's definitely something you want to think about.
Yeah, I think that's really smart to call out, Serena. And talking about like tech, right? Because this all has to do with technology at the end of the day. How did you guys have any experiences with people having difficulties at home? And how did you handle those moments? Or how did you kind of set up to be proactive in those moments?
So we, our 2020 gala, we actually started getting some text messages and alerts that there was a really bad buffer or lag, like loading. And so a good chunk of our audience missed like the first 10 minutes of our gala, which are really impactful minutes. And so we had a help desk set up. So on the GiveSmart homepage and the printed programs on the website, I mean, everywhere we could possibly plaster it. We said, like, if you have any technical trouble, call the help desk. And so we had one of our staff members dedicated, well, actually two staff members, one for the phone number and one for the email. So we had two staff members that was their sole role that night, was to just be there and troubleshoot things. So on when you embed from a YouTube link, there is a button that pops up that says watch directly on YouTube. And as much as it pained us to send people out, it was the only way to get them to be able to watch the stream in real time. And then that just re-emphasized for us how important it was to release the recording after the event, so people could go back and watch the parts that they missed, or if, you know, they got called away or things like that. So our help desk was super important. Every event, there's always been at least one thing where we were like, oh, thank God we had that. So that was super, super helpful there.
Great. Yeah. Super helpful, I think.
Absolutely. We had a lot of pre-work with it. Kind of like I said, we always send out the link prior for like our silent auction. So our members were kind of used to that link, that GiveSmart technology, but we told people when they bought their ticket how they were going to get that access. We told people, when we reminded them and asked them where we're going to deliver their food, how to get the access. We printed it on the menus that we sent, kind of the number to text if they wanted to get registered. So we could just kind of had it all over the place. And then we had in our pre-show, we had kind of sliding sponsor slides and super silence, and then kind of tech support, again, like a help desk, like having trouble, call this number. And so, not that I know, we had a pretty smooth transition. We didn't have too many people struggling, but we did have people that were like, oh, my friends were talking because we were drinking the delicious drinks you sent. So sending that link after as well, people were really excited because they're like, I missed all of Carly talking because we were talking. So that was super helpful for them. And it was super easy to do too. If you have it on GiveSmart, just send. So.
And that's something that you can expect, like, especially if people are having their own watch parties. That's probably the first time that they've been together in a long time. So send reminders when something important's about to happen, like send a text message to everyone that just says the keynote speaker is starting in 5 minutes, pay attention. So yeah, I think, or the sending it out afterwards as well. That's really important too.
Yeah, good stuff. And I'll kind of add to here. I've seen, sorry, I forget which of the 4 ones that it was on. But one of the auctioneers or MCs were like, check out the box to the right. And they really showed, you know, like I've seen an event even where someone felt like they were in the box. They pretended that they were in the box, right? So they were like, on your side, you can scroll down. And they were like pretending to do that in the moment, right? If you already know it's going to be in the GiveSmart platform, how can you make it very interactive in that way? And then as well, on a proactive standpoint, we have plenty of guides and videos that you can upload to your homepage in advance, how to bid, how to donate, all of that kind of stuff, step-by-step guides. So those are in the help center for GiveSmart partners. And so feel free to take those and put them on your campaign and get people educated from the start on how to do the engagement that you're looking for them to do.
Yeah, and I would,
sorry,
can I add one little thing to that? Registering on the GiveSmart campaign site in advance, I think, is definitely essential, because like then what you can do, you put the presentation page, the link to the presentation page on the homepage, and then you can send a link to everyone. And then they're already, when they click that link, they're already signed in. So they don't have to go through that extra step of figuring out what their password is. All they have to do is click the link and they'll take them to the homepage, and then it'll say watch right here. Click that button, and then they're automatically signed in. They're ready to go. So coupling that, but then having those who maybe still need to register. So putting the how to register, just like Susanna said, explaining how to sign in, how to bid, maybe in the pre-show, if you do like slideshows in the 20-minute pre-show before the event, or in the first 5 minutes before things really get started.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys. We have 10 minutes left, so we're going to head into our Q&A in just a second. Quick reminder to post your questions in there right now. We'll do our best to get to them. And another reminder that in the chat, we have put the celebration of achievement from Amy again. And so this is, if you want to go look at the tech help and how she kind of listed that out and stuff too, check that out as well. Okay. I'm going to screen share for 1 second so we can jump back into this. And just a reminder that we do have 2 more Blueprint series coming up. These are our final 2. You can look at all the recordings on the GiveSmart page, but check these out, and these will be our final ones. So we hope to see you there. And now let's get into some questions, guys. Okay. So first question, were your production vendors local, or can you work with someone kind of all over the country?
Well, our production company was local, but we learned the night of when we were eating dinner that they do travel. And so that was interesting because we had always been under the idea that we've always worked in like a ballroom at a hotel. And it was always like, well, in your contract, you have to use this AV provider. We learned, one, that's not true. You can, and they usually will cover those fees, and they do travel. So if you get recommendations from out of state, they will come to you. So that was cool to learn.
Cool.
We, our production company was local as well. We looked into some of the bigger production companies, national ones that promote that they can go anywhere. And we just found it cost prohibitive. We are, obviously a local organization ourselves, and we want to support local. So we worked out an in-kind agreement with one of our local partners. And this year we're actually going with an annual contract with them, and we're gonna partner together all year long to bring together some hybrid events. They're gonna help us on some of our campaigns. And so we really just maximize on that partnership. And I find that the local partners are a little bit more helpful in knowing what other organizations in your area are doing, and say, that is how that last man standing game that I had mentioned from our auctioneer came through. Again, he's local, but he does travel as well. But he's able to give us ideas and say, well, this one is doing this, or hey, heads up, you're asking me to hold this event or this date for your next year's event, but this other organization, they're booking too. So, we get a lot, I find we get a lot more relevant information to our area from working with local partners, and more in-kind support as well.
And Amy, you mentioned being like costs and being aware of the costs on that. One group that I've recently worked with, they actually partnered with the local high school, and the high school's TV and production company, and they donated their services. So, it was teenagers, but these teenagers, they know what they're doing. And so they were able to provide the studio space and all of the equipment, everything they needed to pull off their virtual event, which I thought was really cool.
It's an awesome idea, Serena.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Pull your resources. All right, next question. How long were the videos? So Bridget, you kind of mentioned that you had smaller videos. Like, what ranges are those videos? How long are they?
So our celebration of achievement videos, those 13-minute videos, 13 videos were about 2 minutes each. So we wanted to keep them super short. And that was one of the lessons we learned from the first year to the second year. So the first year, when we did it all in-house and, with the cell phone, it varied by presenter, or award recipient, I should say. So we had one person who went on and talked for almost 8 minutes. But then we had somebody's video who was only 45 seconds. They walked up, they got their award, they said thank you, and they were done. So that created some variety in the program, which was nice. But then when we switched to doing the production company, they went a little bit more uniform with the videos, and I think it helped make the event go a little bit faster.
Sure.
Because you were just constantly moving. When we do our story videos, they're a little bit more in depth. So like our impact video, as Bridget calls them, those are usually about 4 minutes. We try to do those. And then if we're doing a speaker, we try to keep it to like 1.5 to 3 minutes tops.
Good stuff. Okay. All right. One last question, guys, last here, is around planning your future and moving forward. Looking kind of at hybrid events, or what are you looking for? And if you're looking at hybrid, how are you kind of viewing this differently, or what other thoughts are you having as you move forward into that?
I think it depends on which event. So our big fundraiser, they don't let us call it gala, but our gala, we've kind of made the decision that once we're ready to be in person, we're going to be fully in person with that, just because the event is so fluid and there are things happening and then there's downtime for that socialization. And so one reason that we decided to go completely virtual as opposed to hybrid this year is we just couldn't figure out logistically how to keep people engaged on such a large scale event that has so much social aspect to it. And then also it's really cost prohibitive to live stream straight from some event center and do all the things that we wanted to do. It was going to be like 30 grand as opposed to maybe 9. And so those are the two reasons that for our large event, we'll probably go all the way physical, hoping for 2022 March. But some of our other events, like our libations, where it's just kind of a quick speech and, you know, kind of the socialization is on either side, we'll probably keep that hybrid approach again to reach those people that might not go to a cocktail party.
So we're moving forward, kind of the general approach is that we've learned that people love the virtual experience. We know that we have a chunk of our donors, some of them are major supporters that just aren't going to do a black tie event, or they're not going to come out for that breakfast event. Celebration of Achievement is typically a breakfast event. But when we went virtual, we were like, well, no one's going to take an hour out of their, or 2 hours out of their morning to watch a live stream. That's just not feasible. So we moved it to an evening event. It's going to go back to a breakfast when it's March of 2022. It's going to go back to a breakfast, but we're part of that annual agreement that I had mentioned with our production company. They're going to live stream it from the breakfast so that because we always hear from families like, oh, I want my family to watch, but they, you know, they're out of state, or, you know, so-and-so can't get off of work. So we're going to live stream. And then we're also going to release the recording post event to do that. And so I'd love to take that approach to our gala as well, which should be in coming up in October of 2021 here. So I'm working with our production company and our venue. I was actually on a call with them today to navigate a lot of those issues that Bridget was talking about, of what technology does the venue, the banquet center have, because they do have their own in-house tech, and what does our production company need to do to make that happen. I can't definitively say I've worked it all out yet, but that really is our goal. And to kind of address some of the things that Bridget was talking about, events are very fluid. Anybody that's put on a dinner event knows at any time the banquet hall can come and tell you, hey, we've run into a problem with dinner. You guys are going to be delayed 10 minutes. So we're looking at, like, do we have a separate just virtual MC that, you know, walks somebody around the auction area, or, you know, snags the CEO to give them a welcome. We're also looking at using some of our previously pre-recorded videos. So we have like what we call an OE commercial. It's on our YouTube channel if you want to check it out. It's like you know, like a 30-second explain what OE is. And so we'll play a video like that while the in-person part of the event, like they're eating dinner, because you can't start it at a different time, because how do you know when to start it? You know, you can't say like, in person be there at 7, but virtual you're going to start at 7:30, because you don't really know. So it's more about building in and empowering your MCs and your presenters and the people there to be fluid with that. And so those are all the things that we're working through, of like, what videos are we going to show, what's the content, making sure they have plenty of conversation to keep those virtual viewers engaged for that little, you know, kind of cocktail hour part. And then the rest of it should stay on track with what's being presented from the stage. So
awesome. Well, guys, we have used up the full hour today. Thank you to our listeners for being here, and please fill out the survey after. We genuinely look at it and take your ideas and thoughts into our next presentation. And so thank you so much, Amy, Bridget, Serena, for being here and sharing your valuable ideas and thoughts. And with that, Thank you, everyone, and we will see you next week at the same time. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.